Oh man, this review is going to make someone very, very happy. This is my most requested review, I think, of all time from one single individual person that comments on my videos pretty much like once a week for like a year now of please review Urban Legends Bloody Mary. And the hilarious part about it is, and this is no diss to this person, Peter Benevente was trying to come up with another movie for me to review for him getting me that fly box set that I showed you guys. And he was like, well, why don't you finally review that Urban Legends Bloody Mary movie for that guy, essentially. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. I mean, I've been asked about it enough. I keep saying that guy because I think, if memory serves, as many times as fucking has been asked, I should know, but I'm like 99.9% sure it's Scott Defferman. I apologize if that's wrong, but I think that's who keeps asking me, right, Scott? Pretty sure that's who it is. But yeah, so Scott, if I'm correct on that, this one is for you and Peter. So you can thank Peter that this is finally happening. So, Urban Legends. Now, there is a reason why this has taken so long. There's a reason that I haven't gotten to this movie. Because I've seen it before. And it's fucking terrible. And I didn't want to watch it again. So when I got into the Urban Legends franchise, and it went time to get to this movie, I was like, oh man, I didn't think this through. I really don't want to watch this. And I'll tell you, man, I was shocked at the end of this movie when it finished, and I saw who wrote and directed this movie, because it's just as bad as I remember, if not worse. It's fucking terrible. It really is a bad movie. But it was like directed by Mary Lambert, and I was like, is that really like Mary Lambert, like who did Pet Sematary 1 and 2, which I've always found to be fascinating that the same person directed Pet Sematary 1 and 2 because they're so drastically different. But then it was the writing credit that really blew my mind. So this movie is written by Michael Daughtry and Dan Harris, who's worked on a bunch of movies with Michael Daughtry, but Michael Daughtry wrote this fucking movie. What? The guy who did Trick or Treat, Krampus. Like, what? He wrote this movie. And the chick who did Pet Sematary directed this movie. How is that possible? This movie is horribly written and horribly directed. It looks like shit. It looks like direct to DVD garbage. There's like nothing to like about this movie. Except for maybe the look of Mary when she's not CG'd. Like there's a certain moment where she kind of comes out and she looks freaky. They're going for almost for like a J horror, Samara kind of feel to her. But outside of that, the performances, the story, there's so much bad. Like there's so much hilarious bad though. Like I was watching this laughing, just writing down things. This is one of the reviews where I do wish I had clips. Because there's so many scenes where I'm just like, but I don't know. I kind of find that to be the fun of my channel, is trying to describe how ridiculous things are without showing you the clips. It's kind of my job to paint that picture. So, all right. So this starts in 1969 in Salt Lake City, and I think this is the only time that Salt Lake City has ever had 69. We have a prom queen in the opening, and next to her is a first. They have like these like ribbons on that they go across their chest, and there's like prom queen, and then there's first and second place. They really have that? I don't think they do that anymore. But there's like runner up. Like, really? Like they throw those ribbons across women like you're almost prom queen. You're second place. Like, which second place is third place, by the way. Like it's like first runner up, second runner up. But you see second, you're like, oh, she's second place. So it's like one behind? No, she's two behind. She's number 3, not number 2. I put up one. I meant to put a 2 up. I have so much on my fucking chest. People are gonna seriously start to think I'm mentally off because I always am like, oh, 3, 4. I always correct myself, but it's when I try to change fingers too fast that I start to have issues. That's something my brother and I do. We've been doing it forever. Anyway, so these guys drug their girlfriends. Not really honestly sure why. Like, they're just trying to get laid. It seemed like they were pretty into them. Like, maybe don't do this ever for any reason. I was going to say maybe wait till this and that before you do it. That's not what I really meant. I'm just saying, like, it's very odd to me that these guys would immediately go to that. But any kinds of guys that would do this anyways, like, I was going to say this anyways. I actually have this written down. I actually just wrote down here, drugging chicks, kill yourself. Seriously. If you've ever drugged a woman, like you went to a bar with drugs, like Rufalin, something like that. If you ever went and took like roofies or something like that, and you went to like put them in a woman's drink with the intent to fuck her while she's passed out, you should kill yourself. I'm dead serious. You're a fucking horrible human being. That's the kind of stuff for me that's completely unforgivable. That's the kind of person that cannot be rehabilitated. That is a monster. You're a fucking monster. Outright. I don't get super serious on my channel much, but I'm dead fucking serious. That is horrendous. Like, I'm going to fucking drug you. I remember there was this drug going around Sedona Cottonwood years ago. And it was like this date rape drug they were giving women. And the women would wake up from being raped. Then they would go to the doctors and they would test them for whatever happened. And they would find out that they were using this specific kind of drug that would make them infertile. So not only did they rape them and fuck them up mentally pretty much for life, but then they robbed them of being able to create life, which is, of course, like one of the greatest things about being a woman is that you have the ability to create a life inside of your body. So, like, I just remember hearing that and being so angry. Like, I wanted those people hunted down. Whoever makes those drugs, whoever is thinking about using them, whoever's used them. Like, even if it's crossed your mind. Like, like maybe I should get some drugs and drug a woman and fuck her while she's sleeping. You're a horrible, horrible person. Like, how that could ever even cross your mind. And plus another thing, like, I'm not saying you should kill yourself if you do this thing, but this is also not okay. Like, not even slightly okay. Like, and this is something that used to be pretty okay. It's used in movies as sure as fuck a lot. But like going and getting a girl, like taking her out purposely, getting her as drunk as humanly possible to have sex with her is fucked up. Like, I have a serious, serious rule about sobriety and sex. Like, unless we meet at the bar, which I don't drink anymore, but back in the day, the only reason I would ever have sex with a woman that was pretty drunk is if she came on her own to the bar, she was drinking and I was drinking, and we met up there and we decided to fuck. That was pretty much it. I would not start buying a woman drinks in intention to get her drunk enough to sleep with me. That is just fucked up, in my opinion. Now, that's not the same as roofing somebody, but man, it's not good. It's not good. It's something you should not be doing. Anyway, all right, enough preaching. I'm not here to fucking... It really annoyed me when I saw this, because it's used in the film a few times, and I'm just like, there's really people that do this. There's really people who live that life, like, that think that's okay, that they can just go back to their life and live a normal life. Like, I just fucking date raped a chick. I'm okay to go back into society, work a job, have a family, whatever. I don't understand how people like that exist. I really just don't get it. Like, there's things we can disagree on, and you can look at these people and be like, I just don't understand why people would do this, and that. We can have a difference of an opinion. But it's those kinds of things that I'm just like, how can anyone see it for anything but what it is, as a monstrous act? It really is kind of baffling to me. Now, as far as the whole idea of an urban legend in this movie and taking it more supernatural, I don't mind that aspect of it. I think it's kind of cool because a lot of urban legends are, you know, supernatural in theory. Like when they tell the story, there's a lot of them that are very supernatural. And I'm glad that they stuck to that they didn't try to go like Scooby-Doo with this thing and they find out like, oh, it really wasn't. Because the rest of the franchise is not supernatural at all. It's very grounded in reality. And we even get a mention of a prior film in this franchise mentioned in this movie with the college professor who, tries to kill kids using urban legends, whatever. So we do get a mention of a film in this franchise. So this is definitely attached to that franchise. But this is presented as a supernatural horror movie, which I find interesting because it is playing off of two films prior that are not supernatural in the slightest. So, odd choice. You got Kate Mara here, who is the lead of this film, and beautiful girl. But the performances in this movie they're all terrible. They're all terrible because nobody is directed to have a good performance in this movie. It feels all super cheap, direct-to-DVD, low-budget garbage. That's what it feels like in every aspect of this film. And Kate Mara is not going to save that. Where I've seen her in plenty of things where she's good. But in this movie, not good. She's had a nose job, right? Like, I think she's, am I wrong? Her nose looks way different now. Like, I feel like she's slimmed it down and whatnot, which I don't like that nose. That nose where they make it like really like fine and pointy and shit. I do not find it appealing at all. Like, her nose in this I thought was adorable. And then like I've seen her in House of Cards or something, and it's like her nose is like just like really small and pointy, and I don't like it. Maybe it's the same nose and I'm crazy, but I feel like it's a nose job. You even got his sister Rooney Mara in here, who I'm not a fan of because of comments that she made towards the horror genre that I read in some magazine where she was like trashing horror and horror fans. And ever since then, I've just never been able to like her because she got her start doing stuff like Urban Legends Bloody Mary, Nightmare on Elm Street, Law and Order SVU, where she's like attacking people. Like, who the fuck could watch this shit? Who gets entertainment out of women being raped? Who gets entertainment out of people being killed? As she herself plays Lisbeth Slander, who goes out and murders fucking men or brutally, antagonizes rapists and whatnot. Who gets pleasure out of that, Rooney? Once the paycheck's there, right? So you can star in these movies, but then you can trash them as soon as they're over. No, I can't stand that shit. I can't stand that you're in a movie and then you're going to come out of it and be like, it's a piece of whoever watches these kinds of movies is fucked in the head or something. You helped create the thing that you think people are fucked up for participating in, even though you yourself participated in the creation of it. What an idiot. What an idiot. Still super hot, though. She's a very attractive woman. So I'm not going to take that away from her, but I seriously can't stand her. I do like that they bring up Candyman in here, comparing it to Bloody Mary, since obviously Candyman took from the Bloody Mary story for sure. So then the guy who ends up being the killer in this, which this movie kind of reminds me of Throw Mama from the Train, when Billy Crystal's character is reading, Danny DeVito, Owen, when he's reading his character's little murder mystery story that's 3 pages long. The guy in the hat killed the other guy in the hat. And he's like, it's a murder mystery that's 3 pages long. There's only 2 characters, one of which is dead on page 2. And he's like, the guy in the hat killed the other guy in the hat. Like, that, it feels like this movie to me. Like, they set up this, like, who done it? Like, who's this guy in the hood? And they try to set it up like it's the coach. And it's like, well, it's not the coach. Because they're making that so obvious that it's the coach. who's the only other guy character? Who's the only other character in the movie that it could be? The dad, the stepdad, whatever. The mayor or whatever the hell he is. It's the guy, it's the fucking guy in the hat killed the other guy in the hat. That is what this movie is. That's how deep this movie is. That's how deep this, all the red herrings are. You have two options, and one of which they make, like, super obvious so you know it's not that character. That's just logically, like, this is obviously that. And I don't barely even remember this movie, so I didn't remember who it was. I didn't even remember there was a whodunit aspect. But as soon as I was like, well, I mean, obviously this is the other guy. It's not the guy they're trying to make it seem like it. So there's one other option here. It's just so fucking funny to me when I was watching it. I just kept playing it in my head. I just kept saying the guy in the hat killed the other guy in the hat. I just kept saying it in my head. It was just so fucking funny to me. But anyways, that guy who ends up being the killer, I like how the girls are laughing and they're hitting each other with pillows. They go full slumber party massacre here, and they're like having a sleepover, and they're like hitting each other and laughing, and they giggle, and every time they say Bloody Mary, they're like it reminds me of Franklin from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Come on, Franklin, it's gonna be a fun trip. That's what their laughter was like. It was so fucking, it sounded like a porno. That's what they sounded like they were making when they were out there. And so the dad's like, or the stepdad's like, what is going on out there? I got to go check on this. And so they go out there and he checks on them. Then 5 minutes later, the brother comes in the room and they fucking scream bloody murder because they just, scared themselves with the Bloody Mary thing. Dad does not come check on that. Stepdad does not come check on these girls screaming at the top of their lungs 5 minutes later, but he goes and checks on them hitting each other with pillows. And then he kind of gives them that look like, I mean, that's not the worst fucking sight I've ever seen. And I agree with him 100%. And the brother comes in and even checks out that chick's cleavage. And he's like, nice. And it is nice. But you don't see any tits in this film. But that cleavage is top notch. Definitely. Some good looking cleave there. Leave it to Cleaver. And then, I couldn't get over the girls' laughter. It's so annoying. So then the girls go missing in the morning. And then they find out that they were drugged and taken somewhere. And then some chick comes over and was like, oh, it was just a prank. And they're like, oh, they won't tell. A prank. A prank is stealing like another school's mascot or something. Or TPing somebody's house. Drugging a human being and abducting them from their house, transporting them, and locking them in a basement to which you have to break out of and then find your way home a day later. That was a prank? A prank. No. That is kidnapping. That is assault. Like, do you have any idea how many fucking years in prison you would get for this prank? And they play it off like that in this movie. Like, the girl comes over and it's like, oh, come on, it was like clearly a prank. Could you imagine? You went to bed and you woke up like a day, like a long time later, and your family like called the police and they were looking for you and whatever. Some people came to your house, drugged you, and you, as she says, like, God knows what they did to me. And they're like, oh, come on, we wouldn't have done anything to you. Says you. Like, just because the doctor didn't find anything doesn't mean you, like, didn't feel at my tits. They didn't fucking tell. The doctor can't tell if your tits have been played with. Maybe they undressed them and jerked off on their bodies. Like, you don't fucking know. It's just crazy to me. Like, this is crazy to me that these girls would just be, like, abducted, drugged, taken out, against their will somewhere, put somewhere, and left, and then like they would be disappeared for like a day, and they just play it off like meh. But there's so much like that in this movie. Then there's the other the jock football guy who almost hits a woman in the road, like Bloody Mary seen in the road, and then he gets out and he looks, and then what is his response? He just finishes off the beer he's drinking, grabs another beer, and then just goes to take a piss. Doesn't go like, what the fuck was that? That was crazy. Whoa, must be losing my mind. He just gets out of his truck, he kind of looks, and then he's like, well, gotta finish my beer. That's the proper response to almost hitting someone in the road that you now can't find, is grabbing another beer, pounding it, and then opening up another beer before you go and piss on an electric fence, which she gets, electrifies the guy, and it sends him flying and his dick's smoking. I thought that was pretty funny. But just an absolute ridiculous reaction to almost hitting a girl in the street. Absolutely ridiculous. I like that the brother in this goes into the locker room to confront an entire football team and says he's going to fucking get them and he's going to, they haven't seen the end of this. That's one tough-ass brother. How many brothers that's going to march into a locker room filled with jocks and threaten like the lead dick jock while these guys are all sitting there with no witnesses and everything? That's a bold-ass move. Not a smart one, but man, this dude loves his sister. And then, that's just it. There's another ridiculous part of this movie. Her and her brother are super close. The guy's fucking killed in this movie. And there's like no response from the sister. The stepdad, Mayor, the killer of the movie, tells her he kills the brother. And then once they've killed that guy and they've seen that this monster's pulled him down into a grave, she just sits there and laughs with what's her name? The hippie chick that they go to visit. Oh fuck, they say her name a bunch of times. I wrote it down. I swear I did. Whatever. The chick the older woman that was part of the crew that got date raped or drugged or whatever. She just sits down with her and starts laughing. Like they start joking around and stuff. She doesn't even have a reaction at all to her brother, to the news that her brother has been murdered. There's no reaction at all to her, of her in this film at all. Not one bit. What? How the fuck is that possible? This movie has so many things like that. You're just like, okay. Anyway. All right, so we have a Final Destination death in here where this guy goes in a tanning booth and he gets fucking burnt up. He burns seriously, though. She comes in, that chick with the ridiculous clothes on. She's just got these incredible tits and she's got no bra on and you can basically see her tits through her shirt and it's like up to here. It's like just covering her nipples across and my God, how could you talk to, I love when I shouldn't say love, I'm of course being facetious here, but I find it hilarious when a woman dresses like that and then they're actually like annoyed or flabbergasted that men are staring at them. They're like, come on, why don't they take me serious? And why are they staring at my tits? It's like, you have a fucking neon sign pointed. Do not tell me you wore that outfit for no attention. Bullshit. If you wear a shirt that covers up almost zero of your tits, or you have cleavage that's this down, like this fucking far down, and you have these big old tits, especially if you have fake ones that you're like really presenting out there, and you get mad because guys are staring at your tits, you're full of shit. I feel like this whole thing's just a lecture. I'm not trying to be, okay, I should quit. I find it so funny. It reminds me of the scene in Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds' character when he's talking to the girl in the opening and she's like, I just don't know why you don't take me seriously, and he like spits up in his drink. It's that kind of stuff. It's so fucking ridiculous to me. It's like, you really think anyone's going to not stare? You really, you're telling me you didn't wear that outfit for attention. You're telling me you didn't. No, what you want is you want the guys you want to look at you and for everyone else to play by the rules. Like, no. None of you are allowed to look at me. That hot guy over there, he's allowed to look. That's fine. But nobody else is allowed to. Bullshit. You wear an outfit like that. You wear a low-cut cleavage shirt like that. You show off your tits like that, people are going to stare. When you talk to them, they're going to stare at your tits. It's just, they're sitting right there. They're in your face. You're just like, I try so hard in situations like that. I'm pretty successful. But when a chick has cleavage out that hard, you're just sitting there and you're looking at him, and I'm actually almost annoyed. Like, I know I'm supposed to be looking at you, and I'm supposed to be paying attention, and I really am. But how can I not take a peek? How can I not? They're like, it's like, as I said, there's like a neon sign pointing at them. I'm just like, don't look. Don't look. Don't look. I know I'm not supposed to, but, I mean, come on. All right. Why do her friends turn on her in this movie? That is her friends that sit next to her in class. Like, she goes to sit next to in class, and then they get up and go away from her. But then later in the movie, they just talk to her basically like normal again. Wasn't that them? And if so, why would they not sit next to her? Why would they move? Because they think she killed them? But then they're happy that they're dead later on. Like, they deserved it, this and that. So shouldn't they be, like, more friendly to her? If that was them, which I'm about 100% sure it was. What? Why? That makes no sense. It makes 0 sense. They don't want to be seen sitting next to her, but then they are seen talking to her in the hallways later? Like, I got nothing. I got absolutely nothing. Then you got the girl who has spiders crawling out of her face. Yeah, I mean, it's CG, so it doesn't look great. But yeah, could you imagine if you like looked in the mirror and spiders started coming out of your face and they were just like crawling all over your body? That's actually probably the best scene in the whole movie. Because then she takes like pieces of glass that's stuck in her face and she cuts her whole face and like rips her whole face apart. That actually looks really good. So I'll give that scene some credit. I like that the main douchebag freaking jock guy in this is sitting in a hotel room watching distorted pornography on television. Anybody who's my age will remember Channel 99 and sitting there with your friends and watching distorted porn. That screen where it barely is, it's like all black and distorted and everything, and then like randomly you'll get a boob. You'll get a sex scene for like half a second. You'll go, did you see that? Did you see a boob? You saw a boob? That was porn back in there. That was Pornhub for us when I was a kid. You had your brother's Playboy and you had Channel 99 and you waited for a boob to pop up here and there. And as I've said in the past, I think I've talked about this on a video before, my friends and I would actually record. Like, we'd pop a tape in the VCR and we'd record for like 2 hours. And then we'd like fast forward to see, and there would be every once in a while you get this like glitch where it would like go clear. There'd be distortion in like the edges, but you'd be basically clear for like 10-20 seconds. It'd just be this long period of time where it would be basically clear. And we would record it and we'd just like press and be like, oh my God, look what we caught, look what we caught. Pathetic. That's what boys do when they're desperate for pornography. Which we sure as fuck were growing up. I always stole my brother's porno tapes when I was like 14. I had nothing else. There was no other material. I was actually going to tell a very TMI story, but for the first time, I think I'm going to decline. Anyway, and I wrote through paper on both sides, and the ink is so dark on this side that it's actually like blurring my words on this side. Hard to read. So then another moment. This guy has a vending machine topple over as his arm's stuck on it. He gets out last second, and he has like basically no response to it. He's just like, huh, okay, and he just grabs food and like just goes back to his hotel room and just jumps in bed again. And then they have the dog scene where they're like, humans can lick too, which is like that urban legend of the guy who's under the bed licking his hand, and it's like revealed that it's not the dog and this and that. Except for they do that, but they don't do that. So Mary's not licking his hand in this. He doesn't think it's the dog. And then he goes and he finds out, holy shit, who's under the bed? But they set up the scene in every other aspect except for the person licking his hand. And if it's there, then it's just a sound, because he does not acknowledge that it's happening at all. He does not like say anything to the dog, nothing. That scene should have been his hand bent down. He'd have been like, oh, like, hey, cute, whatever the fuck dog's name was. Hey, boy, whatever. And you would have heard the licking. You would have known what was coming if you knew urban legends, but he goes and he finds the dog in the closet, and it just has that written in the dog's blood. And it's pretty brutal, man. And then he goes and he steps back, and then she comes out from under the bed, which is where she probably looks the coolest until the CGI skull is, put over her face. But regardless, like, what a weird setup. Like, it does half of the urban legend, but not the other half. It's so bizarre. It's just so fucking bizarre. And I always like that in these movies, when someone's getting revenge on the kids of the people who betrayed them, the kids of these people are always the same age. Like, everyone who betrays people, they always have kids the same time. They are all going to be in the same school together, in the same class, in the same age group. Like, we all got pregnant the same year. It's just so stupid to me. They always do this in all of these movies. They're always the same exact age, and it's hilarious to me. And then Mary's body's never found. They were like, we looked everywhere. No one ever went into the school's like attic or whatever the hell she's in when she finds that body. Like, do you have any idea how bad that thing would stink? How much that would rot? Like, there's no way that body wasn't found. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And I like how she can just go to her school after hours so many different times. Like the teacher, the gym teacher who's supposed to be the potential killer in this is like, you shouldn't be here. And he's like menacing and being the red herring. And he kicks him out. But then she just goes right back to the school. Just goes right in, like right upstairs. Like, these schools aren't locked down. Like, what? So stupid. So fucking stupid. Grace, that's her name. Grace the Stoner. And then Mary is actually the one who comes and saves the day. And she kills the guy, and then she takes him into the grave with her. But then the cops come, and Bill is not buried. He's just dead of a heart attack. So she didn't take him down there, but even though when they show it, he is dead and gone in the grave with her, but then when the cops show up, he's not in the grave. Or maybe they dug him up, because the grave looked like it was pulled back over. So who fucking knows, man? No thought was put into this movie at all. This is such a joke of a film. So there you go, urban legends. There, what's going to be the new movie you ask for every week now? I'm not mad. I actually found it to be funny and cool. I'm fine with it. Comment all you want, man. But there you go, urban legends, Bloody Mary. Maybe one day I'll get to the quote unquote like fourth urban legends, the Ghosts of Goldfield, which I actually do own, because on IMDb it's listed as the fourth urban legend movie. But that's the movie. There you go. You'll be asking for that for the next year. And eventually, maybe Peter will pay for it. So thank you to Peter. Thank you to Scott, if I was correct on that. And I got to get to the next review.